Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And on today's episode, we are talking about Ghana artifacts that were looted 150 years ago by the British forces have been finally returned by a U.S. museum. Leave it up
Yep.
to the Americans to correct for the British mistakes.
Yes. Yep. So, uh, so the artifacts there are seven of them, and they were taken by British colonial forces from the Asante Kingdom in what is modern day Ghana. And over time, they found their way into a U.S. museum. Um, they were returned, I believe, Thursday, February 8th, to the Asante, alongside a number of other stolen treasures, which are being sent back to their respective owners in Africa this year.
And one of the big reasons this has been a huge push lately is I think the king of the Asante Kingdom, Otomfuo Ose Tutu, has a really good point where he says, "We are here because the white man came into Asanteman to loot and to destroy it. They came in, they looted, they took the goods and walked away. And the artifacts in question are an elephant tail whisk, an ornamental chair made out of wood, leather, iron, two gold stool ornaments, and a gold necklace and two bracelets. Items that are traditionally associated with the royalty of the ancient Asante people.
Yeah.
So these are items that are hugely valuable, both physically and culturally. And the fact that they were stolen, it's pretty terrible. It's one of the interesting things is the items were specifically repatriated on the 150th anniversary of when the British colonial forces sacked the city in 1874.
Yeah. Yeah. That sacking resulted in four of the seven items being looted, as in like just physically stolen by the British soldiers rampaging through the streets. And the other three were taken as an indemnity payment made by the Asante Kingdom to the British, as sort of the British policy of, we mugged you, now pay us protection money. Because it was the British custom to rob people and then demand that you pay them for the trouble of doing so. Um,
It's
the
in.
seven items.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Uh, Yeah, I would say these seven items are being returned unconditionally from their stay at the Fowler Museum at the University of California.
Which is
Uh,
interesting because this is something that the rulers of the Asante Kingdom have long talked about and long spoken about. And this is very similar for a lot of indigenous groups in the United States as well, where a lot of these stolen goods were held in such high reverence that stories and information about them is passed down in histories, in stories, so that they are specifically never forgotten. And that is said about these items. And it's really cool, I think, in that the fact that they are being fully repatriated without any catches or any things.
yeah,
And in doing so, the Asante people allowed replicas to be made. So the museums are
yeah,
still able to have replicas in their collection and on their displays. They just no longer have the actual true valid item.
yeah, yeah, and it speaks a lot to both the value of the item and to the character of the Asante people here. That in getting this back, that they are able to recognize that these are objects of both great beauty and great historical value, and are willing to let uh, you know the people who took it from them still share in that beauty and in that sort of you know knowledge and reverence of it all. That it's that instead of doing what they have every right to do, which is take it back and lock it away from the West forever, because well, the West was never supposed to have it.
Well, as much as that is a poignant point, I think that's a very minute point in the grand scheme of things, because what it allows them to do is have ownership over their own culture and their own identity. They're able to tell those stories themselves, and they can help
Yeah,
control that narrative, because a lot of what we see and a lot of the histories we know, especially when it comes to cultural artifacts like this that have been looted, is that we see it from a colonial oppressor viewpoint. And a lot of it is
yeah,
seen as more just a curiosity, more of something to gawk at and see, instead of learning and taking that moment to actually express and to appreciate the culture that it comes from. And this is something that gives more agency to the people, more agency to these items, in that they're able to actually tell the stories themselves. It's no longer the narrative is out of their control, the story is out of their hands.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just speaking only to the generosity of these people to allow this museum to continue to tell the story of these artifacts. Um, now that they have been rightfully returned to the Asante people. I mean, that was a very generous thing for this kingdom to do. It was something they definitely did not have to do and had every right to refuse.
Well, and I think this is a very interesting article for us to talk about and to bring up very specifically, because it highlights the fact that these repatriation efforts, it's really having waves. It's not just the Native American indigenous populations that are fighting for this. It's peoples all over the world that are fighting tooth and nail to try and reclaim any aspect of their culture that has been taken from them, rightfully so. And it's showing that certain institutions, certain museums and universities are truly actually listening and taking that to note. And clearly, you see an effort, because they were able to come to that agreement. They were able to hash out those details, and they were able to have that respectful conversation to get to this point.
Yeah,
The only
and
thing, oh yeah,
I think the key to getting to that point is to use the quote here from the director of the Fowler Museum, Sylvia Forney, uh, is that we need to sort of divorce ourselves from the idea that museums are these repositories of art, that they are unquestionable, that they have the right to hold everything and tell us what everything is or could be. Like, we need to move away from the idea that the museum is this, you know, ultimate higher authority. No, it's a showcase run by people. It's a giant glass box to show things. That's all it is.
uh, but
Yeah,
it's still an important dialogue that needs to be had. And I think it's something that's really valuable. These conversations, these dialogues are how we improve. It's how we perfect the field. It's how we work out the issues, and we correct the mistakes of our forefathers, the people who developed these fields before us.
yeah,
But
yeah. Because at the end of the day, what we want the next generation of archaeologists to be correcting our mistakes and not still have to be correcting mistakes of everyone from the last 500 years.
which is what our generation has been currently doing, even with the
Yeah,
most recent guard. It's a shame.
yeah,
But before we get too far down that rabbit
yeah,
hole, I think that's a great point for us to wrap up here. It's another good piece of information. We talk about so much negativity around here that we like to highlight certain positive artifact or certain
yeah.
articles that
Articles.
pop up that show things in a more positive light. And this was a cool one because it's out of our sphere. It quite literally. It's not in the northwestern hemisphere. It's in, you know,
Yeah. It's in Ghana, people.
yeah. And it's gone away. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.